Welcome to It's Happening For You. And in this episode, we talked about, because we haven't recorded for like a month. So we talked about what we've been up to since then, which a big part of that was that we met in person, Stephanie and I, for the first time, which is crazy, but it was amazing and magical. And we talk about that. And it's fun to share that with you guys.
And in the second half of the conversation, we really get into the metaphysical juiciness. And this time we honed in on conversations about allowing, as well as being willing to not have something because you know that you will have it. And the pivoting from contrast as well. There's a lot of great stuff that we covered in this one. So we hope you enjoy it. And we are so happy you're here with us. Love you.
Love you. Welcome to It's
It's
Happening
happening
For You.
for you.
This is It's Happening For You, the podcast with Robin Meharry and
Stephanie Lentini. We love you.
love you. And then the music begins.
And action.
Hey, Steph.
We're back. Hi, Robin.
Hi.
Hi.
It's been a while.
We're back in action. No, we're back in non-action.
Yeah, there you go. That's actually true.
But hi, we're back. It's been a month. There's been a lot going on for both of us. And so we'll do a little catch up of what
Yep.
we've been up to. And we're really excited to be back and to talk about what's up for us right now and what we're excited about, what we're exploring, yada, yada. So
Yes.
here we are.
Here we are. I
Yeah.
think one of the biggest things I don't want to skip over in our recap is that we actually met in person.
Oh, let's skip over this.
Steph forgot. That's how memorable it was.
It was, but it was also so normal that I could have just not skipped over it because it was a part of my vacation that I wouldn't have forgotten. But it felt so normal, which was really cool because now
Very
I'm like,
cool.
why aren't we hanging out like every Friday, Saturday and Sunday? Like, what the heck?
Totally.
And also
So
now
fun.
I feel closer than ever because I'm like really excited to be back in Vegas and not that
Yes.
far from Los Angeles.
Yes. Like it's
Yeah.
totally feasible for us to do like weekends.
Yep.
Which is so fun. I love it.
Exactly.
Anyways, so
Okay, well, I'm gonna just give
jump
a
in.
quick recap of what I've been doing in the last month. Because the last time we recorded was like September 16th, I think I just checked. And that was the last couple weeks for me of being in Colorado in the tiny house. And I think Thomas actually got home like from Wyoming around that day. So
Yes.
he came back from a month and a half in Wyoming, and then we just started sort of we went to a music festival I was going to say setting our sights on Vegas, but no, we actually did a bunch before we even left. We went to a music festival and then for Billy Strings, and then we saw Death Cab for Cutie and the Postal Service in Denver, which was an awesome concert. Oh my gosh, I like cry. I was so nostalgic. I listened to those bands when I was in high school and college, like, and so it was very, 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 very good show. They played 2 albums, so it was like the
That's
whole
awesome.
album, like, so good. Anyway, and then we saw a bunch of friends and then hit the road to Vegas, but we just stopped into Vegas for one night and dropped off some things at our new house, which more coming soon about the new house. And then we went on a 2-week road trip around California, which just concluded on Tuesday or Monday. We just got home Monday night and it's Thursday now. But the conclusion of the trip was Robin and I meeting in Laurel Canyon
Yep.
at her house, and I was walking in that room that she's in right
Yes.
now. And we had a
So
really
fun.
nice barbecue with her friends who she's staying with and taking care of their baby tiger lily. You hear
Yeah.
us talk about from time to time.
Yep.
And, walked around the neighborhood and just hung out, and it was so wonderful. So,
Ugh, so
that's sort
wonderful.
of a brief recap of what I've been doing over the last month. I did skip over a lot of things, but not
Yeah.
our meeting in person.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you. The most important part of your vacation.
Yeah,
I love it.
absolutely. Yeah,
I love it. And then we'll go back because Steph has she experienced a lot on her vacation that
yeah,
you want to share. But I'll just give a really quick recap of what where I've been
yeah,
in since that point, which
yes.
is after we recorded that weekend, I went to the East Hamptons for my friend's wedding. And it was bougie and amazing, and I loved it. But it was actually pretty funny because it was a rainstorm, a random tropical rainstorm, which wasn't expected or whatever, but it turned out perfect. Everything was
Awesome.
amazing and everything came together perfectly. And I had the best time. One of the best times I've had at a wedding in a while.
Wow.
So it was just incredible and went smoothly. And then that kind of was the last trip of my like that was kind of like book ending my summer because I've
Mhm,
traveled so much over the summer. So I was actually looking really forward to coming back and just being like not going anywhere for a minute. So
mhm,
I got back and just getting back into like the groove here with everybody. Julian left that next weekend. So then I kind of did a long like stint of watching Tiger Lily. So I was kind of consumed with that. And then my brother came to visit, which was awesome. Like
mm,
that I wasn't like expecting because he went to a music festival in Palm Springs and then
okay.
driving back through, him and his friend got a hotel in LA and came through and hung out with us and we went on a walk too and it was awesome so this was actually my first time with my brother and then you coming people my friends or family coming and showing them where I live because
Yeah,
I've just kind of been in such transit like
yeah,
literally for the last 4 years
yeah,
so and this is like yeah, this is now officially the longest place I've been. I mean, besides my like breaking up travels in between, I've been living
yeah,
consistently since I left
yes,
San Francisco over 4 years ago. So I think I've just been like, oh, kind of like, oh yeah, this isn't really my home. Like I almost
yeah,
have it because I've just been in that mindset of like moving.
I get
Um,
it.
but it's funny because then, like, with my brother coming in and you coming, I was like, "Oh," and, like, Julian and Charlie are just amazing, and Julian's always like, "This is your home, like,
Yeah.
invite who you want. We want your people to be
Oh,
here too," and they're just so, like, welcoming and loving about it.
I really felt that when we came. I was just like,
Oh.
"If this is good representation of all the people in LA, then I can change my mind about LA."
Oh, I love
They
that.
were
That's such a
so
good compliment.
wonderful.
Yeah,
They
they're
were so
amazing.
wonderful. Yeah.
And it's like we're just so lucky. We like really get along. We have a great time. Anyways, it's changing my whole mindset. Honestly,
Yeah.
something like switched from when you came and because my brother came the week before and I was like this feels so good.
Oh,
And I have been kind of like in this place too of like, oh, I like my independence. I like living on my own. I like my own space. But then there was something that clicked where I was like, oh, no, I really like being in a community of
yeah.
like, or with like loved ones, and having that companionship and having where we work in like, in this kind of unit of
You do.
how, we're
It's
making this
really
housework.
cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's really awesome because I think like that's a piece that I've actually been afraid of welcoming in a relationship
Uh-huh. Oh,
because I've
yes.
been like, oh, I need my alone time. Like, oh, having someone in my space constantly. I don't know if I can do that. And it's like,
Yes.
actually it feels really, really good. And like at any point I can go into a room and shut the door and be alone
Mhm.
for my meditation for 10 minutes. Like I'm not
As
asking
long
for a
as you
lot,
don't
you
live
know?
in a tiny house or a van, in which case
Well,
you have to go outside.
even with that said, you close your door. Shoo.
Oh.
I'm gonna
I was like, when you what door? I
yeah.
close people out. Yeah.
She's
I
like
had to do that a few times on this vacation
you
where
have to
like
show that.
people were gathering around the van and I was like, "Okay, I'm going to bed. Good night." And just close the door and like, "Get out of here. I'm going into my space. Leave me alone."
Which I think is awesome. I love that you did that. We just gotta take it when we need it, you know? Like,
Yeah.
anyways, that's my rant. That's
No, I
where I am
love
now.
it's not much of a rant, it's more of a rampage. I love that though,
Rampage.
because the there's like a click and a shift for you of like acknowledging that what you're having you are wanting. I really think
Yes.
that's like such a cool thing to be like, yes, I have other desires too, but I'm actually having what I'm wanting or what feels better for me right now. I don't even think you and I talked about that, but I had this like big epiphany about that before my road trip where
Oh, no, we didn't.
I was like, "Oh my god, like, this actually does feel better." I was experiencing, not I was, like, creating, I was stirring shit up for myself right before I left Colorado around relationships. That's what I talked about on our last podcast.
Ah,
And I was
yes.
like, "Oh, I still have, like, tons of judgments about people and the feeling like people are separate and apart from me." And so actually what was coming up for me was like a recognition of my desire to have more friends. But
Yes.
I could also at the time I had this like kind of big aha epiphany that like from where I am right now in my vibrational state and stance and opinions that I'm like giving stock, like really like taking at face value about people, like it feels better for me to not have a lot of friends right now. And it was
Yeah.
pretty cool because in the
Wow.
acknowledgement of that, like, it's been shifting. It's been shifting a lot and just acknowledging like, "Oh, I'm having what I'm wanting and what feels better right now." Because when I do go around a lot of people when I was at the time, it's different now. It's already shifted tremendously, but at that time, about a month ago, it was, it was uncomfortable, like, painful, like, because of all these, like, opinions and shit that was coming up in my vibration
Yes.
about people, whatever, like, I don't know,
Right. Right.
and, so I had that, like, "Oh my god, I am having what feels better." Anyway, that I
Mm.
made that about me, and what I
No,
was
that was
saying for you is,
perfect.
like yeah.
Yeah, because you didn't share that with me. So I'm like
No.
actually super stoked to hear that
Yeah.
you had that like shift and that click. Um, because that was a big thing that we talked about
Yeah, I was
before you were left. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
like, all these people were really bothering me, but I was also having such a strong, powerful desire for friends, and it
Yes.
felt really kinda strange because whenever I'd be around people, I was like, "I hate them," but I'm like, "I want friends," you know,
Yeah.
like, "I want friends."
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, "Oh, not having friends does feel it is in the feel better right now." Not having
Yeah.
physical friends.
Yeah. Yeah, because as we talked about, you have
I have
lots of friends.
lots of friends. I have tons of friends, and some of them are
Tons.
physical, but, like, you know, not all of the people in my physical environment in some places are what I would choose who I'd wanna hang out with all the time. Now I've
Right.
just been like, "I need to clone Robin because I want Robins everywhere I go."
That's so sweet. Oh, thank
I
you.
just like the feeling of just the ease of being around you, it's very cool, you know? It's like,
Yeah, I know.
I don't wow.
I know, it was
Yeah.
awesome. It was so it's so funny when we met, it was like part of my like, my brain, my logical brain was like, "This should feel weird." You're only meeting her for the first time, but, like, that's just not how I felt at all.
No.
And so, like, I almost was, like, at one point trying to make that happen, and I was like, "Why am I,
Trying to
trying to
make
make
this
this weird?"
weird. Yeah.
And it's like, "No, it's not weird. This is feels really normal."
I
Oh,
think I'm really quite practiced at not seeing people for a long time or not ever seeing people and then seeing them, but
yeah.
being familiar with who they are and just feeling comfortable. Like even if I'm not familiar, I don't know, it's sort of like a superpower of mine that like I can kind of just like be in any space and feel comfortable in it.
Yeah,
Whatever the space
same.
is, whether I've met people before or not,
Yes.
like I've always been aware of that too across sort of like well, maybe not. But it's normal for me to just show up and have like not seen people for a long time or ever and then just be like, "Oh, wait," and not even like
Yes.
talk about any like no like history, backstory, like and then occasionally we'll be like, "Wait, I don't know this about you at all," and then
Yes.
like kind of fill in the details later as it arises, but anyway, so that's just like a I was aware I was like, "Well, maybe it's supposed to feel weird, but while we were hanging out, I was just like, "No, here." And I felt immediately comfortable with everyone, like,
Yeah, that's so
Charlie,
great.
Julian, the baby. I just felt like I knew everyone so
Yes.
well, and it
Yes.
was just us having lunch, so it was
Yes.
lovely,
I know. It was awesome. I loved it. I thought it was great.
It was
I
great.
I felt the same way with Thomas. I was like, I felt like I already knew him.
Yeah.
But, like, that didn't feel I don't know, it was so funny. I didn't even, like, mention to you right away, like, how I thought he was great and I loved him and but because I was just like, "Well, she knows that, right?" Like, we've already in my mind, we had already met, you know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
And I was like, "Oh,
Actually,
yeah, I should tell her."
it's funny when you told me that you liked him, I was like, "That's great." And we kind of did a, like, joking, like, playful
Oh,
back and
yes,
forth of,
yeah.
like, how I like your partner too.
Yeah.
Um, but I was when you said that, I realized, like, yeah, no like, I don't really care if you like him or not,
Yeah.
which is feels really liberating because I think in the
Yes.
past, I really would like,
Want that feedback?
I
Yeah.
would want that, and some of the things that he wanted to talk about when we were all together, like, I really wanted to, like, curb check him or whatever. I wanted to
Yeah.
be like, "No. Like,
Yeah.
you're representing me right now. Please don't
Right.
say those things." And
Yeah.
also, I'm sure you heard me say, like, "Can you take off your sunglasses so people can see your kind eyes? Because you look like the
Yes.
Terminator when he wears, like, all of his hat and his glasses, and he's just, like, all covered up." And I'm like, "You can't see the humanness in you without seeing your eyes."
Yeah,
And
yeah.
his eyes convey such, like anyway, so I was wanted to sort of control the image of Thomas, but then I was also like, "Fuck it. I like
Yeah.
him."
Yes. And let him be him.
Yes.
Like, don't resist, like, who he is and let him just, like and he shined as himself. Like, it was, like, very like, I just love that I got a real feel for who he is.
Yeah.
And I know and I could see, like, how you guys are same at different things and different in different ways, but
Yes.
that was perfect.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah, and
awesome.
to,
Loved
like,
it.
that that would probably be well, I don't know, whatever, I'm sure people do it where you're really monitoring, like,
Oh my
not
gosh, I used
only
to do
what
that.
you're presenting of yourself, but how your partner's presenting, and you're
Oh
like,
my
"Don't say that,"
gosh.
and, like, "Don't do" and so, yeah, like, it feels, like, really good to just step back and
Yes.
be like, "Let him be him."
Yes.
And that is, speaking of, like, can you have independence in relationship? I feel like Thomas and I are a really great
Yeah.
example of, like, I I almost experience more freedom within the
Yeah.
relationship because he takes care of a bunch of things I don't have to, and I get to just be free to do all the things I want to, and
I
so,
love
like,
that.
almost on the flip side of the coin, it's really cool, like, I have this person who's an agent of my good taking care of all this shit for me, he's like an assistant in some ways,
Yeah.
and at the same time, I get the benefit of a romantic partnership,
Yes.
and that's it's something I said to him, like, a week or 2 ago, I was like, "Okay, like, I know I do things for you too, but I also wanna maintain a resemblance of a romantic relationship and not just like we're working for each other.
Yeah, totally. Yes.
um but yeah, totally, like, I feel like I experience tremendous, like, independence and freedom to be myself and do what I want, and I'm in a
Mm,
relationship, and he
yeah.
supports that, like,
Yes.
he supports the freedom to do what I
Yes.
want. It's just delicious. So,
Ah,
anyway, yeah.
I just got chills. I love that. I love that. Like, for me, it's a refrain,
Yes.
and how, and when I've been imagining my, romantic partner, I do imagine like that, the mundane things of like helping me take out the trash because I don't want to take out the trash,
Exactly.
or like handling the financial advisor or calling us saying that like our stocks went down. Do we want to sell or stay with them? You know what I mean? Like these things I'm like, I don't really want to have those conversations. I would love somebody to just like handle that for me. And then I handle other things. And like we just work in this like way that then like I'm doing with Charlie and
I was just
Julie.
gonna say, like you're having right now. Yeah.
Like I'm having right now.
Yeah. Cause I totally witnessed that in stepping into your life. Um, you're 3 parents to a baby and you live in a house all together and you're like all like best friends
Yeah.
and you have banter almost like your relationship. Like when we left, Thomas was like, "Okay, so I've made some assumptions of what's going on here. I need to check them with you."
Oh, I
You know?
love this. Oh my gosh, so fun. Okay, you got to share with me.
But he was like, "I don't think that they're like a throuple. They're not like a romantic like triangle, but like, what's going on here with that?"
Yeah.
And so like gave him some of the history of that you've known Charlie since you moved to California. She was your first friend, right?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
when I was 10.
you moved to California from New York and she moved to California from Florida when she was like 8 or something, right? So
Yes.
just before you.
Yep.
And you met day 1 of your
Yeah.
first day of elementary school or
Yes,
and
exactly.
you
Yes.
became best friends.
Yes.
It's
Yep.
so cool.
I
And you've
know,
been
it's
friends ever
amazing.
since, and you have other friends in your group of friends, like, that you grew up
Yes.
with together, right?
Yes.
And then I don't know how her and Julian met, but they have a baby now who's almost 1. She'll be 1 in, like, 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. Y'all
Yes.
are planning a block party for
Yeah,
her. You're gonna invite the
exactly.
whole neighborhood,
Yeah, true.
which I heard about. And then they invited you knowing your lifestyle and their relationship with you, they invited you to come stay with them and help raise Tiger for, a undefined amount of time
Yep.
and live in the house, and you have your space downstairs and they have the space upstairs, but you all just, like, live together and have this, like, really cohesive, beautiful relationship, and I also love, like, how you all kinda pick on each other, and it's very playful. It very much resembles a romantic relationship, but there's
Yes.
there's just a piece that is missing to, be
Yeah, to
involved in
make
that,
that
as far as I
connection.
know.
Yeah, yeah. Correct. This is a correct assumption.
Yeah.
I'm the one that's not romantic with either one.
Yeah. But it's just so cool. It's just
It
so
is,
cool,
yeah.
and
It's fun.
you're already raising a child and you're already having a relationship. There's just, like, a few pieces that you want added in, right?
Yes,
There's, like, a few
exactly.
ingredients you want to be added in.
Yeah, which is so awesome, like, and I was even, like, reflecting on this with Charlie and Julian because over the last 4 years, I have lived with, like, many different friends and their families, at
Mhm.
this point for extended periods of time, like, from, like, a couple weeks to 3 months to 6 months or whatnot, and, it just feels like I've been gathering, like, all this data and, like, information and getting clarity and, like, this particular situation and their how they are in relationship, Julian and
Mhm.
Charlie in particular, is probably the most similar to what I envision
Yeah.
a future partner of myself for myself to
Right.
be. And
Yeah.
so it's pretty cool to be like literally being like front row seat to
Yeah.
like all this kind of stuff and being like, and also gathering more data and information and being like, oh, okay, I'll probably would like
Yeah,
want this
that's
to be
like
a
the
little bit,
contrast, which is
yeah,
literally everything is contrasting,
everything is.
right? Like,
And
that's what our
there's,
physical
yeah,
experience is. Yeah.
exactly. Wanted or unwanted,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's really interesting. It just feels like, I guess like what I'm trying to say in so many words is that my desires feel closer than ever before,
Absolutely.
you
Yeah,
know?
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that there can be the, like, um at least this used to be an old habit of mine, tendency to when things are close to you that you feel like you're wanting and not having, the like, jealousy or whatever, it, like, can accentuate, like, "Oh, I'm not having that," but I think
Mhm.
that that perspective that feels better is, like, it's literally, like knocking on my
Yes.
door. Not only is it knocking, I'm already having it, there's just a few tweaks I'd like to make.
Yes, exactly. Which
Which is
feels like you
so
said,
cool.
and which is so cool and feels so much better.
Oh,
Instead
yeah.
of sitting in like the jealousy or the unwanted being like, "Oh, they have
They
it,
have what
it's
I
not
want and I
here."
don't have it. Yeah.
Yes. That doesn't feel good. So it's not
No.
true.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Wow. Anyways, I we didn't know the conversation was gonna go in that direction, but I love this.
Love this. I really like that. I've also been playing with, like, sliding into, the version of me who's, like, having more cash, for example,
Yeah.
who's a billionaire. Like, that's the one been one specifically that I've been like, I went grocery shopping yesterday and the day before, and when I'm thinking about buying things, my opinions and thoughts about money come up a lot.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And I kept being like, you know, "Do I want this or do I want this? Do I want this or do I want this?" And then I'd, like, be like, "Oh, the billionaire version of me is, like, literally right here with me considering the same options." And, um, it was cool to also acknowledge, like, sometimes I'd try to, like, reach I'd be like, "Well, I am a billionaire, so I'm gonna get the most expensive thing," or whatever, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I still was like, "Well, what feels better for me right now to
Mhm.
choose?" But I would slide over and be like, "Look through her eyes. She's
Yeah.
here." You know what I
Yes.
mean? And then I just,
Yes.
like, slide back into version 1 of, like, what I'm experiencing as, what I'm having right now, or, like, just me, my physical body that I can
Mhm.
see and look through, and then I just be like, "What feels better from here?" You know?
Yeah, I
Do I want
love
the
that.
name brand syrup for my pumpkin lattes, or
Yes.
the off brand, the store brand? And then I
Yeah.
got the store brand because I was like, "Oh, awesome. It's $2 less. That's sick."
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
And it felt
And
better.
and didn't judge myself either of, like, if you're a billionaire, you would only buy Torani or whatever, you
Which
know, and it's
isn't
like,
true.
that's stupid. Yeah, exactly, because
It's not true.
like, the practical part, I'm like, even as a billionaire, like, I probably still,
You're
like,
gonna
look
look
on
for
Gas Buddy
discounts. Yeah. You're gonna look for
and be like,
discounts because that feels good to do so. You're like, cool, I can get the same thing for this for less. Okay, yeah, why wouldn't I get that? Even though I can afford this, it
I
feels
might
better doing
never go to
this.
Costco gas station again, but I will.
Yeah, yeah. Wait in that line. I understand.
We drove all the way across Santa Monica to go to Costco and get gas for,
Oh
like,
my gosh.
4.89 or 4.99 in California.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
And it was like, I think it was we passed like 5.29s on the way.
Yes.
And I'm like, "Whatever Thomas is buying, this feels better to do right now."
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, that's really one thing that when it's when it's my choice what gas station we go to,
Yeah.
I choose maybe not Costco.
Yes, there you go. But that's like that's the perfect and we were talking about this before we started recording, but that's a perfect example of like having the $1 billion now and like because a lot of times people would be like, okay, the question would be like, okay, you have $1 billion, how do you feel? And you're like, well, I feel freedom and I feel this and I would you kind of have these really lofty ideas of like what you would be doing in this moment if you had $1 billion, but
And
really
how
you would just
different you would be.
yeah, how different you would be. But really you would
The
still be
same.
the
Yeah.
same. And you'd be going to the grocery store if that is your choosing. And you'd be choosing between products. Like those are the things to bring that into your imagination of like, I'm at
Yeah.
the grocery store. For me, what just came through is like, okay, if I have $1 billion, am I going to go to Safeway or Bonds, Southern
Yeah.
California, or am I going to go to Whole Foods? Because Whole Foods is a little bit of a premium price. I would go to Whole Foods.
Yeah.
Like that's what I would do if I had $1 billion right now. But does it? I would go grocery shopping. I
Yeah.
would fill up my gas tank. I
Yeah.
would maybe clean my house if I
Some
choose to do that. You know what I mean? Like
I'm glad you're
everyday
saying this
things.
because, like, sometimes also, like, there might be an assumption that, like, "Oh, as a billionaire, like, I don't go to the grocery store anymore. It's beyond me." But, like, I actually like going to the grocery store.
Exactly.
So, like, I don't think I'm gonna be ordering my groceries all of a sudden. I mean, I
No.
could do that now. I literally
Yes.
could do that now, and I don't prefer it because I wanna pick my piece of fruit that I pick.
Yeah.
I've seen some of the Instacart orders. When you order produce
Yes.
and, like, they're just like, "Put 7 limes in," and they're
Yes.
not like, "What lime feels best?" And maybe they could
Yes.
be, right? Like, we're creating them as extensions of us. They're going out and doing our errands, like, these people,
Oh,
and
that's true.
they're
That's a good
agents of our
point.
good, love
Yeah.
them. So I could get the best Instacarter ever, but I like touching the fruit. I like looking at actually, I hardly ever buy fruit, that's the truth. I don't know why I'm talking
Stop
about fruit.
lying,
I
70.
pick I pick onions, I pick peppers. I actually bought bok choy yesterday. I was like, "Let's try something
Bok
new."
choy. Wow.
But mostly what I'm looking for is, like, the pinkest meat,
Yeah.
Like, I was looking at, like, the ground beef yesterday, and I was like, "Which one, like, looks like feels better?" It doesn't it
Mhm.
can I can give it characteristics, but it's the one that feels better, and I like being
Mhm.
a part of that process,
Yeah.
and, the what bread I'm in the mood for, or is there a bakery item that I wanna get this week, or blah, 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 blah. You know what I
Yes,
mean? And
yes.
I love that. So, as a billionaire, I do still do my grocery shopping because what else am I gonna do? I mean,
Yeah.
I wanna go to the store,
Yes.
I wanna drive my car, I wanna go to the store, I wanna get out of the house, maybe I'll go to TJ's too and get some extras, like,
Yeah.
pumpkin flavored things, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still me, and I like
Yes.
before,
You're still gonna go
we
to the bathroom.
yeah.
Oh, I'm a billionaire, I don't shit.
Yes,
Sorry, that was crude.
I will still want
Excuse
a
me.
toilet to shit in.
Maybe one that has an automatic lid that goes down
I
after
don't
I'm
think so, I don't think I want
Oh,
that.
I do. I
Okay.
always close my lid. By the way, I have reasons for that.
I
But
close my lid too. I've never considered having one that closes for me. Garbage cans that close for you, they annoy the hell out of me. I wanna open and close it when I
oh,
want. I
yeah,
don't wanna
that
be
annoys me too. Oh, I hate that. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I hate that too.
so
I
funny.
wanna be able to push my foot on the lid and
Yes.
have it flip open when I want it to flip open.
Okay, this is such a fun conversation too because we're talking about the, like you talked about this before we started recording. You were saying how, like, somebody asked a question in the current series of that the Communion of Light is doing. It's called Enchanted Enamored, and it's intentionally the words were chosen intentionally to
Yeah.
kind of confuse your logical brain. Um, but someone was asking about wanting something, and they were talking to them about wanting money and a house specifically. And they were
Mhm.
like, "What does the ceiling look like?" Like I'm paraphrasing from what you briefly told me about it, but she was like, "I'll feel ease and peace and like, kind of like blah, blah, blah." And they're like, "What does the ceiling look like as you're in your bathtub? What does your tub look like?" Like these very like real
Yes.
practical things,
Yeah.
like down to earth, like bring it into the physical experience of like that's what they say to turn it into like to bring it through into the physical. You have to use physical attributes to sort
Yes.
of right make it real. And
Can I
uh
add something to that really
yeah,
quick, which is
add it.
important? So like a follow up to that question, they added more kind of, or maybe it was the same question, whatever. They were saying, they're like, is the house new? Is it a new build? Is it remodeled? What is it? And she's like, it's a brand new build. They're like, great. With new builds, there's always like things that you have punch list items where like this outlet doesn't work. This thing doesn't work. You need the contractor to come back in and fix this. And you create a punch list for them to come and
I'm
fix things.
experiencing that right now. Yeah.
Oh, yes, exactly. So, but it's a great thing because, like, again, we kind of have these lofty ideas that, like, oh, when we have like exactly what we desire, then these points of unwanted contrast, I'm
Won't
putting
be there.
quotations around unwanted, but yeah, won't be there. We're like, oh, everything is going to like
Be
be
perfect and
perfect.
smooth and yeah,
Yes. And it's like,
no problems.
no problems, exactly, quote unquote. And like, anyways, we can go down there another route about problems and suffering and your choice on how to react to that. But the point is that in like everyday life, you have those moments of contrast of like, this outlet doesn't work. Okay, I need to call the electrician to come back out, or things like that. So it's like,
Dude,
even
I love this example
I know,
because I'm literally fucking living this, and
yes.
we've been handed a new build, which is my desire, which is my
Hmm.
like, I one of the things I love saying is, like, nobody's boogers have ever been in this house, and I think you and I talked to someone about this, and they said they think about something else that's never been there, that belongs to, like, a human body, but
Oh
I
God.
love the smell of,
New.
like, the hardly anyone's walked on those floors. Hey, thanks for listening. Robin's not gonna like that. Hey, it was too harsh.
She knows me so well.
Okay, but seriously, hi. Thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it. And if you're liking the podcast so far, we would love to hear from you either by sending us like a direct message or through the contact form or commenting or leaving a review on your favorite listening platform. We would super appreciate that. Also, share it with your friends, share it on Facebook, whatever. Let people know if you're liking it. That would be awesome.
And we are also adding in receiving questions from you guys. We want to hear from you. So send in your questions and we will address them live on the podcast. And you can send those through social media on an Instagram account, which is It's Happening For You podcast. Or you could just go on our website, it'shappeningforyou.com, and submit it there. But we want to hear from you. We want to hear your questions. We want to answer them. So looking forward to hearing from you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you. Okay, we're back.
Yeah.
We pause. Like, we're having this new build, right? And there are so many things I love about it, but there are also things like the outlets weren't working in the garage and
Yeah.
the shower head's not working. And Thomas is like, he is taking care of it. And it is so cool. And we have to call contractors, and the old contractor came in yesterday and he's doing paperwork and we're kind of waiting, but we're literally like living outside of this new house. And this could be the reality for if you do have a new house, is like you have
Yes.
a trailer that you live in until it's ready, and that
Yes.
there's still construction and there's, it's like dust and it's not, we have everything in the garage. And
Yeah.
this morning I went and threw something away in a construction garbage can, which is
Yes.
outside of the garage. And
Exactly.
that's the sort of contrast that, like, you think, if you think that you want something to solve a problem, then often the idea of what it will give you is literally fairy dust and butterflies and
Yep.
rainbows, right? And so that's what, like, the communion of light is recommending, is like, bring like the physicalness of this into it, because when you're actually having something, there, like, when we're meeting in person, there's like the delicious ease of us sitting together, but then there's also a little bit of discomfort of Thomas saying shit that I don't want him to talk about, talk, talking about crime in Denver or
Yes,
whatever, and I'm just like,
yes,
why are you talking about crime in
yes.
Denver? Like,
Yeah.
Why would you choose to focus on that? Like, that's, like, the realness of it.
Yes, Tiger Lily getting fussy and needing
Yeah.
to take a
Although
nap.
she
You're like,
was really perfect. Like, she
she
was
was
ideal.
for
She was,
I
like,
know.
chill for, like, an hour, and then she took a long ass nap.
Well, I swear that girl and I are on she is on my wavelength where I literally feel like she listens to me, where she's like, "Oh, Robin, I'm not going to take a morning nap, but I will take an afternoon one because your friend's going to be here and that'll be lovely for you guys to have that time together." And I'm like, "Thank you, Tiger. That's so
And
sweet
also,
of you."
like, I think it felt better for her to go and
Yes.
take a nap during
Yeah.
all that time.
She's
She's
like,
like,
"This is
"Love
boring.
you
I'm sitting
guys,
here."
but yeah, I'm gonna go chill."
Yeah, I love it. Anyways, so
Anyway,
perfect.
off track, but
But this
I
is funny because, like, when I had my first, I think this was my first private session with Frank and the Communion of Light months ago now. But they were saying, and I don't know if you remember listening to this, but we were talking about the body, and they're like, okay, imagine that you're like jumping into a pool and you come
yeah,
out of the pool, and like my romantic partner's like, look at my hot wife. Oh my gosh, look how amazing
yeah,
she is. And then they were saying, but then you're going to have some people sitting around the pool rolling their eyes going, oh gosh, like, bleh, like
yeah.
enough. Like,
Barf.
he says this all the time. I'm over it. Like, okay, and they're like, and that's important because that's like life.
Real.
That's physical form. Like that's what's going to happen is that you're going to
Yes.
have people in there judging that experience or whatever. Maybe not judging is the word, but like saying these contrasting things to it. And at the time I didn't really I got what they were talking about. I knew that they were trying to bring like realness to
Yeah.
it, but like I didn't really have the click until like really recent. I feel
Yeah.
like this
They
is
were
bringing it
making a
all like,
vibrational deposit.
yes, that's like now like getting activated, it feels like. And I'm like, oh, I get it. Like,
Yes.
because I have always kind of done like really lofty things,
Where
or
you
in my
think it's
imagination.
literally just pink clouds and rainbows
Yes.
and butterflies, and that's it. When
Yes.
you have what you want, that's what it'll be, but that's
Yes.
not what it'll be. That might be what it is in your dream state because there's no physical stuff in your dream state, there's less resistance, but that's not our physical, like, waking
Yes.
life. Like, we experience the contrast of things.
Yes. Which is amazing. And
And
like,
it's amazing, like, I really wanna say this, the contractor came over yesterday, the old contractor, and he's been a point of contrast in this whole thing, although I this was the first time I actually saw him in person, and, he kind of given me sass in his tone of his voice, and but what his words were saying was like, "I'm taking care of it. You don't need to do anything." But he is going, "I'm taking care of it. There's nothing for you to do." And the tone was a little bit like,
mm,
"Ugh," like, I don't like it. But I was literally like, we had this interaction yesterday. He came and picked Jean up. He literally did what we need to do. He came and picked Jean up, took her somewhere to sign some paperwork, get it notarized immediately. He was like, "No, I'm not dropping off." This is what he said to me. "No, I'm not dropping off the piece of paper. I'm taking Jean to go get it notarized right now."
oh,
And I
that's
was
awesome.
like, because
That's next level.
we would have been doing that, right? Like, we
Yeah.
would have taken her somewhere to go get it notarized because she's not driving now. And
Ah, I
we were
see.
just like, um, but his tone was throwing me off, and Thomas kind of gave me a little bit of, like, feedback. He was like, "Oh, I don't like how you were talking with him, and you kept asking the same question." And I was just like, "I wanna know the answers." But what I realized when I, like, reflected on it is like, "Oh my god, he's literally saying to me, 'You don't need to take care of this. I've
Mm,
got it.'" And I
yeah.
can just be like, "Okay, that's I don't there's nothing for me to do here but sit back and decide for what I want." And the contrast is like a pivot point too of like,
Yep.
"Oh, this is what I'm wanting." And that's like, for this I want this permit to be finalized. I want a occupancy permit to be completed. I want the inspection to be completed because I want it to be legal. And I wanna move in this house and not I want it to be legal.
Yes. Yeah.
And like, it's fucking happening and I don't have to do anything except for the one thing I did, which was I forced Gene to call him on his phone 2 days ago. Anyway, long story short, it's yeah, having a new build isn't rainbows and butterflies, but it's
Yes.
also what I'm wanting.
Yes. I love it. I love it because like I worked in construction, home development for
You
12
did.
years, so I'm very familiar. I worked on, mansions and there's always like, we're doing the highest end homes that you can possibly do. And yet there's always punch lists. I mean, pages of it where like
There's
we
so
have
many things to do to
so many things,
and
so
I was
many things.
looking at the plans, I'm like, "Thank you." Like, literally all of this has been done for me, and I didn't
Yes.
have to figure it out, and there's still nothing I need to figure out. I don't
Nope.
need to do it. Like oxygen and running water, like, I don't fucking know how they did. Thank
No.
God someone else is taking care of that.
Yes,
And I will have
exactly.
it too. Like, I'm really clear, like, I'm gonna have hot water, not
Yes.
lukewarm water. I'm gonna have
Yes.
hot water.
Yes. Exactly. Oh, so good. I love it.
Yes. Yeah.
Wait, something also that's like great. Okay, so Steph and I are recording this in the morning. I'm going to start watching Tiger Lily at 10 o'clock. It's 9:47 right now.
Yes.
And I just got a message that Tiger just went to sleep. So we have like no
Okay, I saw
limitation.
you looking at your phone and
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know if that means she's gotta go or if that mean what that means, but that's awesome.
Like we were just saying, Tiger is like locked in and loaded. She like knows. I'm like,
Yeah,
great, this is awesome. So we just don't have, we can, yeah, let this
we
flow
don't have
however
to
it's going to
rush.
flow. Yeah, exactly.
Holy shit. Well, that's
Mhm.
really great. Thanks for the message, Tiger and
Yes.
Julian.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Thank you. Also a big thing that has happened because I know that we were talking about this on the podcast is that my wall has been built.
Yes. This is the construction the episode.
It is, right?
Constructing new ideas, new walls.
Yes. And like, yeah, even for that, it's like putting the wall in for the first 2 days, it smelled like paint and fresh paint in my room.
Yeah.
So like that's contrast of like I didn't necessarily want that, right? But like that's part of like being in a
That's
new
evidence that you
construction.
have a new wall.
Exactly.
That's the
Exactly.
fucking real stuff.
That's
Yeah,
it.
I ordered new rugs and they smell and I'm like, "Whatever. They won't
That's it.
smell eventually. They'll smell different eventually, but this is how
Yes.
I know I have a new rug in my existence because they smell."
Exactly. Exactly. Which is just so cool. Like, anyways, and it's amazing. Like, it's such like a weird energy shift in
Yeah.
terms of like, when the wall was open and we had a barn door there and the office is on that side. So Julie and Charlie have their desks in there and that's where they work. But like there is just like when that was open, even though the door was closed, it just felt like I'm in space with somebody else and
Mhm.
like kind of like a little on edge. Like, am I like if we were recording right now and Charlie was on a meeting, I would be like, am I being too loud?
Right.
Do I need to blah, blah, blah? I can't hear her at all. She can't hear me at all anymore, which is like blowing my mind in a way, you know what I mean? But this is
Yeah.
exactly what I was desiring. Well,
Yep.
it's like being able to have phone conversations or any type of conversation in here and not like worried that the next person in the next room has to have like noise canceling earphones on to not hear me.
Totally.
So it's awesome.
Mhm.
It feels really good.
Well, congratulations.
Thank
You got your
you.
wall.
I got my wall. Yeah, I got my wall.
There was something else that I wanted to
Yep. I was
pick
just
up
gonna say.
on.
Oh, are you talking about from your trip? Is that what
I
you're
don't
wanting to share?
know. Maybe. But I think it had to do with everything, like everything that's been going on. Yeah, what's coming to you right now?
Well, I mean, when we were starting this podcast, we don't usually do this. It's kind of funny, but we were like, what do we want to talk about today? And Steph and I kind of both shared like what we wanted to talk about. And we've kind of gone like as we do on kind of a different path. But like the main concept, I think we both were, or intention we were bringing into this is the whole idea of allowing.
Mhm.
And it's like the imagining piece is actually like a very small percentage. It's like, I think Communion of Light says like 80% or 90%. I forget the percentage, but it's like a huge percentage is about allowing,
Yeah.
like letting go now and allowing. And that,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
No, I
right.
remember what it was I wanted to
Okay.
say, but it wasn't about that because it was about
Oh,
pivoting
funny.
off of contrast.
Oh, great.
Um,
Go.
but, well, I probably no, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything wrong by just saying that. That was exactly right.
Oh gosh, were you now just trying to say
No, I'm
like,
like, "Oh, what? You were just talking about allowing." Okay, like, there's the screen. Okay.
I know,
Um,
yep.
I I will talk about allowing. I'm gonna have a little rampage about allowing real quick because this trip, going on vacation, going around California, it just felt different. I like, I don't have any context. I'm like, "Did something different happen this time that, like, hasn't happened before?" I don't know.
Mhm.
I'm new. I'm fresh. I'm a baby. I don't know. I don't remember anything from the past. Um, but in this trip, it just clicked that I didn't have to do anything
Yes.
and could have everything I wanted
Mhm.
in the trip. And, like, some little thoughts came up, like, this is Thomas's vacation, so you can't, like, have preferences. Like, it's his vacation, and he's
Mhm.
paying for all of it, so, like, it's his trip, and you're just on it. And in ways, like, that is true. In the
Yep.
paradoxical way that that is true, what's also true is that, like, I can have what I want too, and that's him having what he wants too, and just this weird thing. But
Yes.
we started out the trip, um, we went to a climbing area called the Needles, it's in Southern California, and then we went to Oakland, and we spent the weekend in Oakland. We saw a concert in Stanford with friends of Thomas's, and then we went to Santa Cruz on a Saturday, and then we just hung out on Sunday, went to brunch, and left Sunday afternoon, and then went to Tahoe for a few days, saw some of my friends who live in Tahoe. Then we went to Yosemite for a few days, and then we went to LA. So that was kind of our loop, our trip. And like, even for Santa Cruz, no one really had opinions, but I just, like, had Santa Cruz, like, in I was like, "Let's go to Santa Cruz." Like, from before we even went to California, I was like, "What are we gonna do on Saturday? Let's do something. Let's go to Santa Cruz." And no one really, like, had any opinions, but I was I was just, like, telling everyone where to go and where to take me, and I wasn't driving, and I wasn't paying, and I wasn't anything. I was just like, "Doo doo doo. Okay, let's go here and let's go there," and I was pointing, which is an Abraham thing. Like, Esther calls herself
Mm.
a pointer. She just points, and then, like, everyone, like, does
Ah.
it for her, and I was like, "Wow, that's really cool." I sort of was just like, I had to just, like, give myself permission to just say what I wanted, and then it was done.
Mm.
And, um about the contrast of, like, I'm a billionaire, but I'm still doing this thing, like, in Santa Cruz, we went to a taco shop that I remembered, and they had, like, very few tables, no air conditioning, and I really wanted to go there, and, some of my other friends and my Abraham friends met up with us, and there were, like, 8 of us at lunch, and even as a billionaire, I wanna go to taco shops, and, like,
Yeah.
what we ended up doing was eating on the curb. It was, like, a hot ass day, and we just needed shade, and there were no tables, and so we just, like, ate on a curb, and I was like, "Yeah, this is just my style." Like, I'll always do this. I wanted to mention that earlier. Like, I'll
Yeah.
always eat at taco
Yep.
shops. I'll wanna go to Mexico and, like, not go to, like, a bougie Mexican restaurant in Mexico, like, not maybe a Michelin star, chef of Mexico, but I like just Mexico food, and
Yes.
Mexican food like the stuff that we know and love, it does typically come from like, this is what we have and how do we make the most of it? And it's just like grilled or, you know, I love it. I
Yes.
love it. Anyway, that's a side note. Like the Santa Cruz part, it really kicked off this whole like, I don't have to do anything and I'm just being taken all of these places. And
Mhm.
Thomas is quite a bit of a planner, and he like prearranged like this whole trip was planned around this concert and these ideas, and the path was also like based on dates and when and where people would be. And when we started heading to Tahoe, like I was like, should I have made more solid plans with my friends? Like, should I have
Mhm.
like arranged a dinner tonight? Like, should I have posted on Instagram and said like, "Hey, Tahoe friends, like who's around and wants to hang out?" And because that's what Thomas would do. And
Mhm.
anytime I considered doing it, I was like, that actually does not feel better. Like it feels like I'm just trying to be like him, but it doesn't really feel better for me.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so I never really did that. But then I ended up meeting up with my friend Mallory. Like we hardly talked at all prior to the trip. Then we
Mm.
met up the first evening we got in town Sunday, and she got a concert ticket to go to Billy Strings with us.
So fun.
Did I tell you how her seat was right in front of ours?
Yes.
I was
Yes.
like, Thomas and I bought tickets on a resale site that morning, Sunday morning, and then Mallory reached out to a friend and bought a ticket that they had in a random location in the venue. It's like a 7,000 seat or 5,000 seat venue. And her seat was 4 rows in front of us, like exactly. It was just the coolest thing. And
Yeah.
everything kept falling into place. And I was able to reserve a site at a campground um that my other friend was staying at, and she said like, "Hey, we're going to be here for these nights and then you can come down to my house in Amador." And I was like, "Oh, let me see if a site is available." And I found one like one of the nights she was there, and it just like unfolded so perfectly. Then the whole time we were at this campground, everyone was talking about how it's impossible to get a site and you have to reserve it 7 months in advance and you have to be online at 8 a.m. and to get a site. And I was just like,
Wow.
that wasn't I just was like, "Oh, I want a site," and I just went on the website and I got it. Like,
Oh my
that was my
gosh.
experience. And then
That's so
they
cool.
arranged it so that one of their friends was leaving the second night, and they told the campground host that we were gonna move over to their site for the second night, and they got us a parking pass, like, and we didn't have to do anything.
I
The
love
same
it.
thing happened in Yosemite. In Yosemite, everyone was talking about how impossible it was to get a campsite, and each night someone gave us a parking pass or just told us a site number and was like, "Go there, no one's parked there tonight. We have an extra site." Like, it literally was just like
Yeah.
that, and I was it was just back to back to back to the point where I was like, "I don't have to do fucking anything. This is what
Anything.
allowing is just literally doing nothing." It's like
Yes.
when I try to get involved and do things, that's like disallowing, you
Yes.
know? I don't know. There's
So
there's
funny.
probably a really great way for me to say this, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna get it perfect, but it
That's
was
okay.
just super fucking cool how I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do this, I got to do that, la 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 la, and I did no effort to get any of
Mm.
it. And when we were in Santa Cruz, we happened to be there the only day that my friend Raven was there from Connecticut, like, and they haven't been to Santa Cruz in fucking 15 years. And
Wow.
it was the only day of her entire vacation that she had free. And they were just going to the Santa Cruz boardwalk. And we went to the Santa Cruz boardwalk, and they were the family that met us at the taco shop. And it was just like, what? If I had tried to plan that, it would not have gone as smoothly.
Yes. Yes.
So that's a brief recap of just like, I really in the trip was like, nope, there's nothing for me to do. Unless there were a few things I really wanted to do. Like I
Yeah.
actually designed a Friends of Frankenpaul shirt while I was in Yosemite
Yes.
because like Gina posted in a chat, they had some ideas, and then all of a sudden it was like boom, 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 boom. Stephanie, you designed this shirt. And then I like, I wanted to, and I was like, anytime I got cell service, I was like on my computer in the middle of Yosemite, ignoring all the friends, closing the door, like, I don't want to listen to you guys talk. And and I was like, I just created a t-shirt shop, like, which I've
I
been
love
wanting
it.
since the summer. I just like, oh,
So fun.
I don't have words. We got a house fucking given to us, and we're just like living outside of it. And I imagined myself pooping in this toilet 2 years ago from the
Yeah.
backyard right over there. I'd walk by every day to go to the bathroom in the park, and I'd be like, I just want to go to the bathroom in that house.
Wow.
Like, literally, I just want to
That's
go to the bathroom in
insane.
that house. And this house has been built for us.
Wow.
It's been built for us. Like, what the fuck, dude? And Thomas is like, I think if you buy anything for the house, you need to put it on my credit card.
I think you're right. I mean,
I'm
come
like, let me
on.
just save that on my Amazon and on my computer. I'll just save it on my, which is something I was imagining in the summer, is like when I imagined what my form of abundance looked like, it was a metal. I remember it was a metal credit card, not a plastic one, a
Yes.
metal credit card that someone else paid the balance for,
Ah,
which is what his is.
oh my gosh. Wow.
That wasn't
It's
much of
so
like a
incredible.
conversation about allowing, but really a rampage of
But
like, it's just these things. And I'm just like, I don't have to do anything.
yes, because you are allowing it. That's the whole
I
point of that,
am.
though.
Yes.
That's why it's just rising up to meet you. It's not you going out and reaching and efforting to make it happen because it's not here yet or whatever. You're not having any of that like resistance to it of like you're just having it. You're just allowing it.
Yeah.
And so then it's there and you're experiencing it in your physical reality and it's amazing.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is that I didn't even like think about this until you were just giving all these examples and I'm like cuz and this is like part of it is that I feel like you and I both are just experiencing so much of this on like a daily basis. It's almost like how do you even like,
Like,
track
yeah.
it all?
Yeah. No, it's everything,
It's
really, right?
everything.
It's a hologram of
Literally.
manifesting everything, but there are
Yes.
some things where it's like you pulled
Wow.
it out, you played with it,
Intentional.
and you're like, I fucking did that. Like, I am
Yes.
literally now spending on a credit card. And the contrast of that is that when I do make the purchase, I still feel a little uncomfortable in my stomach.
Ah,
And but
interesting.
it'll become
I love that.
it'll
Yes.
become even more comfortable. That I've done it 2 or 3 times so far, and each time I'm just sort of like, "Is this real?" And then, like, it'll become
It's so
more.
funny.
Yeah, okay, go ahead, what
Yes.
with what you were
No, I
saying.
just love that because in this morning when I was actually imagining I do want to build like my own house eventually. So like I was imagining that and I was imagining it actually that my partner had the funds to be able to do it. It wasn't
Yeah,
like I didn't have to like figure any of that out. It was like he
yeah,
had the funds and he wanted to do it. So then I was like imagining the process of like creating the plans and like the design. And I was actually taking him back to meet my family over the holidays and bringing the plans because my family is in construction. So I was
yeah.
like rolling out the plans with my uncle to like show them the designs. And they're like, wow, how did you how are you making this happen? I'm like, he had all the funds to be able to do this. And like in that moment in my imagination, I was like, ooh, like I'm sitting there and not saying I'm financially contributing, that this person's doing it all. And I was like, that feels uncomfortable. But I was like, whatever. That's like, I'm playing out this scenario as if it was real, and like that is really what I would feel. And in that moment, when I have
It
the plans rolled
actually
out,
is. Yeah,
it's like that's how I would feel. I would have like what you were just talking about, that little like gut like feeling in your stomach of like using somebody else's money, and it's like I would have that in explaining to my uncle that I'm not the one adding anything financially to it. But I was like, I know he's the extension of me. I manifested this whole experience. So yes,
Yeah.
it's like
You are
is
actively manifesting it.
yes, and it is me, right? But
Yes.
my uncle doesn't need to understand that. And he won't, and that's okay. And I'm going to have that little response to him asking that question, you know?
It comes up still, like, I didn't really wanna talk about the house much, like, 2 weeks ago because it still felt like this could be taken away from me, and the thing is that that little, it is, like, with the credit card or, like, is this too good to be true? Like, it does kinda come up with new experiences, but
Yep.
also it's like, well, I'm manifesting that's why I corrected you because I didn't think you would say that to your uncle, but
Right.
I'm
Yes.
actively manifesting this, and
Yes.
it's an ongoing manifesting. It's
Yes.
not manifested, it's not done,
Yep.
and as things shift and change based on contrast, it's, more of what I'm wanting.
Yes.
So, like, if things do change from how they look right now, it's in service to me and more of
Mm,
what I'm wanting. There's, like, even if it looks like if my perception is that it's not in the direction of what I'm wanting, that I'm still reminding myself that it is in
yeah.
service of more of what I'm wanting. Like the yesterday interaction with the contractor was like, this is in service of me. And it might not look like that, but it is.
It is.
I might be perceiving it not as that. And that's why, like, there is no problem, it's only our perception that's the problem. Like, there's
Yes.
never a problem, it's always moving, building on
Yep.
more and more and more of what you're wanting, and we're manifesting it actively. Like,
Yes.
I don't know that I'm saying the same things over and over again, but,
Yeah.
like, that little, like, er that's a part of the
Yes.
contrast, and of a new experience, like, it's
So
just perfect.
interesting. Yes. Okay. So the example I was gonna or shared what I'm experiencing right now is like my one of my best friends from Northern California is coming down this weekend to visit,
Yes.
which manifested that whole experience where she does my hair, she's a hairstylist, and Charlie's been wanting to do something different with her hair. And I'm like, you have to have Leanne do your hair. Like,
Yeah.
she's just amazing and she's worth every penny. And how about we do like, it just came to me. I'm like, if you buy her a plane ticket, I'm sure she would come down and do your hair. And she
Yeah.
was like, okay. So like for me, just being like a innocent bystander to this, I'm like, I'm getting my best friend to come down here for like, this is awesome. And she loves Disneyland. And she was
Yeah.
like, can we go to Disneyland? And I was like, oh my gosh. And it reminded me that my old coworker that I worked with over 4 years ago, he's a Club 33 member, which is a very exclusive club within Disney. So it's like
Yeah.
where they have a restaurant that only club members can go to. And you have to pay, I think it's like you have to get referred into the club. Like you can't just like sign up, you get referred
Yeah.
into. You pay $25,000. You have to pay like $10,000 every year to keep the membership, and you get to get into this lounge, into this like private dining room. And then he gets like free tickets and all that kind of stuff along with, this
Right.
membership. And he's a Disney fanatic and he loves it. And so it's like
I
perfect.
hope so.
Yeah, he is. It's really fun to see because that's like his passion. And he's an artist. He was our architect, but he's like a real artist. Anyways, so I remember him saying, like, whenever you want to go, let me know and I can get you into the club. And I was like, oh, this is kind of a cool experience. I haven't been to Disney in like 15 years,
Yeah.
maybe 12, something like that. And I was like, that kind of sounds fun. Just like, because I will be a kid again. I'll go to
Yeah.
Disney and I literally will become a child and I love
Yeah.
it, like I'll just, So I was like, that actually sounds like a fun experience. Tickets are like pretty expensive. Like they can be almost like $200
Yeah.
for a day pass, right? And I'm like, that kind of, I don't know, that doesn't feel really great to like do or whatever. It doesn't matter. But then I was like, I think I am willing to like spend that to have this experience. But I was like, I'm going to reach out to Gary and see if like maybe he can help me out or whatever. So I reach out to him and he's like, I can get you into the club for dinner, which is like a special kind of thing. And but then dinner's expensive, like we'd be paying for it, and I'm like, oh, okay, now I had to buy my ticket into the park, and like, let's say, I'm going to be spending 60 to $100 on dinner, and I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, this is like, that doesn't feel great, but it also, am I willing to do it if everybody else is willing? And everybody was like, yeah, I'm willing to pay that. I'm like, okay. And then so we got our reservation start Saturday. We were like looking at the weekend, and we're like, oh, maybe we want to go Sunday instead. So I reached back out to him. I'm like, hey, we're just thinking like we might want to go Sunday. Can we get a reservation then? The tickets are a little bit cheaper, but also the weather's going to be better, blah, blah, blah. And he writes me back. He's like, I think I can do something better. And he's like, how about I get you free tickets on Saturday? So you don't have to pay for the park ticket. And then you can get into the club, and I can get everything arranged for you. And
Yeah.
like, it was just funny because I was like, first expecting that, like I was
Yeah.
expecting him to give me like a ticket, and he didn't.
And then
And
you
I
let
was
go
like,
of it. Yeah.
I let go of it. And I was like, oh, am I willing to pay that money? And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm willing to pay it. I don't really want to, but I'm willing. I'm definitely
Yes.
willing. And then, like, out of nowhere, I wasn't expecting it at all. He gave, like, I'm not paying for the ticket on Saturday at all.
Yeah.
It was like $200, and I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And
Yeah.
now, anyways, it just all worked out. And it's just funny. Like, and there was like, that felt like no effort on my part, like
Yeah.
none. It was
Yeah.
like, I talked to my old coworker who was fun to like connect with again. It's been a long time. And it brings him so much joy to like share this
Share it.
experience with
Yeah.
people. And you could tell he's like just like elated that I like reached out to
Asked.
even like ask, and I'm like, this is awesome. This like really
Yes.
worked out. Anyways, that's just like another example of like, now we're going to Disney on Saturday, which is just so fun. Everyone's
Yeah.
super excited about it. And like, I
Yes.
don't know.
I
Anyways,
love that. That's
yeah.
wonderful. I love that. And I feel like a real key to unlocking so much of the allowing of things is to be willing to have or not have something. Like that
Yes.
really has been such a fucking key for me
Yes.
in this allowing. Is
Yes.
like when I was like freaking out about I wasn't really freaking out, but there's been some fear with the contractor and stuff coming up with the house, and I'm like, we might never move in. We might
Yep.
always be outside in our van and then move on to something else, but we got a toilet. I'm happy to have a toilet. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And, like,
Yes.
I can go to Planet Fitness for showers and, like,
Yeah.
really grateful that I have that as an option
Yes.
down the street, and, like, I'm willing to not ever have this, but I also am aware through the contrast that I want it, but I'm
Yes.
willing to not have it.
Yes.
Like, I let the time piece go away knowing it's coming, and then also, like, willing to have something that seems unwanted is part of that too, of just
Mm.
like, um yeah, I'm willing to not be liked or something like that, that could be
Yes.
like
Yes.
an
Yes. Yes.
example of that, like, I'm willing to not
Yes.
be liked,
Yep.
but I'm gonna say what feels better, whatever. You know what I mean? And,
Yes.
like, with the Disney tickets, you're like, "Oh, this is what you wanted," but then it didn't seem to pan out that way, so you're like, "Oh, I'm willing to not have the free tickets. I'm willing to pay for it, like, whatever."
And I was willing not to go either. I was
Yeah, I'm
willing on
willing not
all
to
of it.
go.
I had
Yeah,
like
just
no resistance around the
right.
whole thing. That's
But
the
also
point.
kinda wanna do it,
Yes.
but not like yeah, no resistance. But that,
Hmm.
like, willing to have or not have it really loosens up so much of the resistance, does it not? It's just, like,
Yes.
eases and you're just like, "Ah." Yeah, like, that's a huge unlocker for me sometimes, like, I could be like this forever. It could be this way forever.
Yes.
I don't know. And then
And
it's not. I
yes.
know it won't be, but, like, it could
Well,
be.
yeah. And like, am I going to be, it's just because, okay, for me, when I do that piece where I'm like, what's coming up for a big thing for me right now is like my body. Like,
Mhm.
am I willing to have the physical body that I have right now, or even gain more weight, right?
Yep.
Like, gain more weight. Am I willing to do that? And it's like, no, I don't want to do that. And I'm like, okay, but am I just willing? It doesn't mean I have to. It doesn't mean that's
Yeah.
like what I want, but am I
Yep.
willing for that to happen? And then it's like the minute that I actually feel into like just being willing and like letting it go,
Yeah.
I feel just a sense of peace. Like I just feel
Yeah.
a sense of relief. Like,
Yep.
oh, I can put this down. It almost feels like that. It feels like I can just put this down. And like
Yeah.
in that moment, it's releasing the resistance.
Yeah.
And what the communion of light says, like the fastest way to get what you actually do want is to be willing
Be
to
willing to not
not
have
have
it.
it.
Yep.
And it's so true though, because like every time that I really do allow myself to be willing to not have what I want and feel that relief, like that little piece, like, oh, just letting go of that resistance, things move.
You know what is coming up to me, which feels like just right in line with this though, is like knowing that you will have it. Like, I don't know.
Totally.
It's like
Yes.
it's like
Yes.
hand in hand because
It's a paradox, like
it
everything
is a
is.
fucking
Yes.
paradox because the water pump broke in the van as soon as our vacation started.
Oh, I didn't know this.
And I didn't fucking care because I knew it was gonna be fixed
Yeah.
and I would have running water again. I was willing to not have it
Yep.
because I knew I would have it again. You
Yes.
know, and that
Yes. Yes.
that
That
is like
is it.
you have such a powerful desire for running water, hot running water, for oxygen, breathable oxygen, that you are willing to not have it because you know you will have it.
Oh my
And
gosh,
that
that's such a great piece that you just brought through.
right?
Yes. Yes,
Because the
that's it.
water pump was such an illustration of that for me. Because I was like, I'm willing for it to be broken right now, but I am not willing for it to be gone forever, and I know it's coming back. Like, and
Yes.
I'm not doing anything to
Yes.
fix it. And guess what? Thomas fixed it fucking yesterday.
Yeah.
And occasionally he figured out he could wiggle wires while we were on the trip, so occasionally I would use the sink and I'd use the water through the sink, and he would go back there and he would wiggle the wires, and I'd be like, "Okay, you can stop wiggling them." And
I
but
love
then he fixed the
it.
pump yesterday and I have better pressure than ever, and it's wonderful, and I'm like and the same thing is true about the house, like, it's warm water, it's gonna be hot, and I know it. I'm willing to not have it right now because I know it's on its way.
Yes.
And there's nothing I need to do to do anything about it. Like, and if there is, I'll know. I'll know what there is to do. I'll call someone or whatever. Like,
Yes.
that's crucial, right?
It's crucial because there is such as you're like even saying that, there's such power behind it. Like
Yes.
it's there's like for me, I'm just speaking
Yeah.
what I was like vibrationally feeling in that moment that you're saying all that was like this like really deep peace, but like a knowing. It was like just a deep like knowing, which is for me comes through as like almost like a it's like if you dive into the bottom of the water, right? To the
Mhm.
bottom of the pond or stream or
Yeah.
whatever, and above is like flowing, but there is just like this deep peace
Yeah.
and stillness. It's like that's what I was feeling, but there's like power there.
I feel a heat about it.
Oh, I could feel that too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like a like a
Yes.
furnace almost.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
that's when I interjected earlier with, like, the pivoting off of contrast, but then
Oh,
we talked
yes.
about it aloud.
Yeah.
This is sort of what I was talking about, like, I've been seeing this right in the moment that contrast has been occurring, that this contrast literally is there for me to pivot off of it and be like, "No, I will
Mhm.
have this." Like,
Yes.
you're and when, I realized that when Thomas was saying some things that I didn't like, that like that contrast is specifically there for me to be like, no, that's not the experience I'm having.
Yeah.
And be like, "Rrr," like, I
Yeah.
just feel the strength of that like decision.
Yes. Yeah. Every time that I think that we won't have anything to talk about, which is like silly, but like I do think that. And then I'm like, oh my gosh. And here we've been talking for like almost like, hour 15, whatever.
Yep.
It's like, and it's flown by.
Yep. Really
So
good
funny.
conversation. I'm excited to do more. I think this is probably a good time to
Yeah.
like pause for today, but I'm excited to just, keep a cadence going.
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
So good.
so good. Okay, well, is that a good stopping point then, I guess?
Yeah, I think
Let's stop
so.
there.
Yeah, perfect. See you later.
And cut.
Perfect. Thanks for listening. You can visit us at www.itshappeningforyou.com for more information about upcoming episodes and previous episodes, and just learn more about us. Here we go.
And a 3, and a 2, and a 1, and a welcome to, right?
It's
But let's start from the beginning.
It's Happening For You podcast with Robin Meharry
and Stephanie Lentini, the podcast about mastering the creation process and living a life of extraordinary possibilities.
Join us as we just talk every week and chat and share.
Have way too much fun. We love you.
We love you.
Thank you for being here with us.
And the beat drops.
And the beat drops.